switch on your video. Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all to another episode of She Inspires, where we celebrate some exemplary women who have graduated from IIT Delhi, a prestigious institute, an institute of eminence. And these women are doing a great job in their lives. And today, the three exemplary women that we have, which is Dr. Garima, Kanika ji and Swapna ji, Dr. Swapna, Kanika ji and Garima. These three women are pursuing very different streams today, and the kind of discussions that we are going to have, because all the three come from very different domains. So let's see how the conversation goes and what new things we learn from their experience and how their journey has been from IIT Delhi to how they are pursuing their lives in today's times. I welcome you all the audience, everybody who has joined today, and on YouTube, whoever is joining. Thank you to all the panelists who have joined today. So let me give an introduction, starting with Dr. Swapna Mishra. She did her PhD in textile technology in the year 2014. She is currently a COO in the Textile Sector Skill Council. Experienced professional with a PhD in textile technology from IIT Delhi and a demonstrated history of working in the textile industry, engineering education and skill development in the textile mill and handloom sector. Skilled in education, textile, skill development, material science, nanomaterials, polymers, lecturing, and nanotechnology. Quite a diverse experience. I welcome you, ma'am. Next, we have Garima Gupta. She's a BTech in computer science and engineering from 2005. She is currently a founder in Swasth Yog Institute. She serves as the co-founder of Swasth, a non-profit dedicated to health and joy. She graduated with a BTech in computer science and went on to McKinsey, followed by co-leadership in Teach for India. Experiencing how outer success without inner fulfillment can lead to ill health, depletion, and relationship conflicts, Garima's quest for inner joy led her to study multiple disciplines such as yoga, psychology, nutrition, philosophy. In 2017, she founded her institute, the Swasth Institute, to enable physical, mental, and spiritual well-being for people through a range of workshops, retreats, coaching, and certification courses. I welcome you, ma'am. Kanika ji, Kanika Bhandanwal. She did her dual degree in electrical engineering in the year 2005. She is currently associate partner at Managed AI Solutions, lead Wipro's Digital, combining traditional lean and OPEX methodologies with cutting-edge intelligent automation techniques, helping clients reimagining the AI work. Her company, Intelligent Automation Design, leads for a $27 million multi-year digital transformation looking to digitize and automate pension, savings, and bonds businesses. I welcome you, ma'am. So the first thing that I would like to ask all of you, in this sequence, you could reply, Swapna ji, Garima, and Kanika ji. After you graduated from IIT, you did your studies, finished your studies. After that, the field that you have chosen, how was your journey till now?
So how do we start? Who goes first?
You, ma'am, you go first.
Thank you so much. So I came to IIT Delhi first for my MTech in 1998, and then later on for my PhD, which I finished in 2014. I was already teaching when I came to IIT Delhi, and I also had my BTech degree because I came for my MTech. The credit goes to my father, who's a PhD from IIT Kanpur, and also to my mother, whom we believe that wherever she accompanies us, we would always get the admission. So I requested her to accompany me to the MTech, interview, and I came under QIP. When I did my BTech, I thought I knew so much, about engineering and everything. And when I went to do my MTech at IIT Delhi, I realized that there is so much to learn. That is the first realization IIT Delhi gave me, because being toppers at various institutes, people come here, and then you come here, the marks you get is 1.5 on 20, 2.5 on 20, and suddenly, you feel, oh, there is so much to learn. So all that, the feeling that you know so much, and from there coming towards, there is so much to learn. And then during PhD, I got to realize that, there is so much I do not know, which also brought a lot of humbleness in me, because, I know I've done my PhD in one particular area, so I know a lot about that area, but there's so much I don't know. And so that is one change which I saw in myself. Another thing which I thought was IIT has given a lot of choices. In BTech, which I did from a non-IIT college, it was an NIT, but there was a fixed set of subjects, only those were taught in a set way. Whereas IIT Delhi gave me a choice of subjects. Like there were departmental electives, there were open electives, there were sit-through courses, there were non-credit courses. And, we could take anything which we wanted. Also, I was, there were Nobel laureates coming in, Spik Meke, Kavi Sammilan, Rock Show, Rendezvous, debates, dramatics. So there was so much choice. And, being the eldest in the family, I came with a background that, I always did what I was told. Okay, this is how it has to be done. And I would just do it and follow it. When I came to IIT, I had so many choices. The subjects I had to choose, what I want to watch, whom I want to interact with, what subjects. So it gave me a chance to know myself, so choice, and also the meticulous planning, because when I came to IIT Delhi, my room in Kailash was already fixed. I already had a letter which gave me a detailed description of how to come and how to settle. There was a system there. The timetable was fixed. The date sheet, examination, the slots, everything was fixed. So it taught me meticulous planning. And, of course, it gave me excellent bonding with friends. It also gave me the idea that the show must go on whatever happens. So we were working on strict deadlines. You had to perform well, and there were no excuses. And there was enough enjoyment. So we could learn I would say, the skill of getting into a sari or a dress and enjoying ourselves, and then getting into our track pants and going to the lab immediately and working till late nights, practicing for a dance and then giving an exam next day. So that switching between different situations in life and enjoying through it is what it taught me. Plus, as I told you, I was always teaching when I came here in a state university to BTech students. And here I got to know how well the teachers taught, not just in terms of the technical knowledge. Of course, they were very good in terms of technical knowledge. The machinery, the equipment, everything was latest. And we were allowed to have hands-on experience, without the constant guidance or a teacher over our head, this, you should not spoil this, or we were given that independence. And not just the technical, but the way they taught. For example, when something was being taught about the nitrogen gas effect, the faculty came with a cylinder and a rose flower, and he sprinkled that gas cylinder, and we could see what is the effect which is there. So very practical and very latest technical hands-on experience were there, but we were also respected as individuals. So
Yes, ma'am, I completely agree that IIT, when we study the kind of experiments and learnings that we get, and of course the how we transform as personal individuals, the way we transform and grow as people is amazing. Now
yes.
I'll go from you to Garima and ask you. Of course, I'm sure we're both with Garima and Kanika. The studies at IIT were fabulous, and as Swapnaji was telling, that our journey within the campus and the kind of activities, whether it's fun activities, entertainment, or the studies, of course, have been fabulous. But beyond that, after IIT, the kind of journey that you have chosen now, how has it come? How have you gone and traversed this path? That I would like to know from Garima first.
So firstly, thank you so much for this opportunity. just before this, I was thinking of how would I visualize the role of IIT in my life? And a strange visual came, but that was that of a trampoline. And like IIT for me has been that, like when you jump on it, you go to unimaginable heights that we otherwise cannot do. And IIT has literally, taken me away from the pull of gravity, and shown me a lot of outer success and also a lot of heights of inner awareness. So I have a lot of gratitude to IIT for that. And the three legs of this trampoline that came to mind was, one is of friendships, as Dr. Sapna was describing, just such meaningful friendships that run till this date. The second has been of credibility. What I'm doing now is nowhere connected to engineering, one might think, but it still is something that opens doors. People understand that we've been through a trial, trial through fire in some sense, and we have the ability to translate that into wherever we go. So that credibility has been very helpful for me. And the third thing that has helped me in my journey has also been problem solving. That actually, it doesn't matter what domain one works in. I was not born an engineer. So if I could become an engineer after 4 years, it means I can become anything I wish to if I give my heart and soul to it and learn how to solve problems. So with respect to my journey, as I mentioned, I've been changing a lot of my roles, identities over time. And I used to describe myself as an engineer turned management consultant, turned social entrepreneur, turned well-being coach, often wondering, like, when am I going to settle down? When am I going to stop this turning? But I really want to focus for the next couple of minutes on these transitions, on these turnings, because I feel each of them has been like a fork in the road. I could have gone here or there, and each choice I've made has brought me closer to who I am. And that's where, for me, I think the learnings really lie. So the first one was after engineering. I had the clarity that I didn't want to go directly into the technical field, but I was confused. I was completely lost. And that's where I think for me, the first learning was to get exposure in as many fields as I could so that I could make an educated decision. Just like in IIT, again, Dr. Sapna was saying, so many activities we got to do. So I said, why not actually do the equivalent of that in life when I'm working? And that's why I decided to work in management consulting, that it would give me exposure to everything so that I could make an educated decision later on. And so I think exposure has been something that was the mantra for me then to make that transition, that learning. Now, the second transition for me from the management consulting to social entrepreneurship, there it didn't come about by choice. I think all of my transitions have come through very difficult times. And the difficult situation that I was in was I had a physical health issue very soon after working. After I started working, I had a back pain issue radiating to all my limbs, and no form of therapy, modern, traditional, was solving it. And it was actually when I took some time off and I went to an ashram and spent some time with myself with some support, I understood that what was manifesting in my back was actually a manifestation of what was going on in my mind. I was living the best life per external standards, but it wasn't aligned to the person that I was with my vision for the world, my value system. And that's when I turned to becoming working in the social sector. So I continued to do that at McKinsey and then later on at Teach for India. But I learned that whatever we do, just that inner alignment with our vision and values is a very, very important part of things. And then strangely, a couple of years after working in the social sector, I felt now I have purpose, now I have everything. And yet I ended up with a mental health crisis, just not knowing what was happening. And again, I needed to take that time off for myself and actually understand that while I'm focused so much on outer change and outer impact, I was not giving that much attention to just nourishing my own self and being the change, not just in terms of living the values of the organization, but how am I, like, how compassionate am I with myself? Am I with others? And that's who we are, is what the world is going to be like. So I think that is what prompted me to work towards inner well-being, to learn all of these new things from scratch. And here I am today, working in well-being. I guess it's nation building, perhaps not as the founders of IIT would have envisioned, but it is building our hearts, minds, consciousness in a different way, perhaps. So Lots of
Garima ji,
gratitude to it.
Garima ji, I would just like to add to it that IIT today, especially IIT Delhi Alumni Association, along with the institute, because we all know that mental health is a crisis and an issue that's going on all over the world in today's times, especially with the youngsters. So the institute and the association are actually putting in a lot of efforts to address this crisis. And today, this is not at all irrelevant. This is the most relevant thing, and this is a topic that everybody is very passionate about and wants to work towards it. So the institute is working towards it, and along with the alumni association. Now, third, I would like to ask Kanika ji, and please tell your journey beyond IIT, how it has been.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Kind of listening to Garima, I think I've gone about the same journey and got to the same crux and important points in life, probably a little bit different way. So after IIT, same thing. There were so many options. I knew I didn't want to do something technical right away. So I decided to join Schlumberger Oilfield Services, which was quite an interesting choice. It's a very non-traditional role, not a typical corporate job that anybody would expect. And to be quite honest, I didn't know what I was getting into. I was just excited. I was gonna get to travel the world. All the freedom that comes with it. Interesting job. And really, similar to what Garima was describing in terms of credibility and trampoline, the image that I had in mind was Launchpad. So if you think about Schlumberger, what the job entails, there is no template for it, right? We don't have an oil and gas engineering course, right? I was an electronics engineer. I was working with computer engineers, chemical engineers, but it didn't matter, because the baseline was that we all came from different IITs, and that gave us a certain sense of credibility. Which is what the company was looking for, and that's why it was one of the the week one recruiters on campus, because they knew what they were getting. They were getting smart, intelligent people who they could throw in any sort of chaos, and they will figure it out. So that level of credibility that you get from IITs, I don't think you get anywhere, and the launchpad that it gives you, and time and again I have seen. It give me kind of like a leg up anywhere whatever I'm trying to do. I've changed my career like 4 times, and I'm not sure if this is the last time I'm doing that. The other thing that really stood out to me was that capacity for learning and all of the different things that we do on the campus, and we don't realize how much it is preparing us for the real life outside, right? So it's not just about the courses and the exams and the technical, but everything that goes around in terms of your social life, the cultural exposure to sports. I feel like that really made a consultant out of me. I didn't realize it then, but 6 years down the line, when I finally got into management consulting, it was kind of the same life that I was living on campus. I was cultural secretary, I was the house secretary, I was active in 4 different clubs, and absolutely thoroughly enjoyed that. And the amount of learning and adaptability and what you learn about yourself, and you take that with you through the rest of your life, and that just really stays with you. So after that, I've focused on what is it that I want to learn, what is it that's really interesting to me, and that's kind of been the North Star for me in terms of what is it that I want to do with my career. So after Schlumberger, I did MBA in strategy and finance, started management consulting in the US, moved to the UK with my husband. And in management consulting, I was doing something completely different. I was like, I don't think this is really what I want to do or the life that I want to make for myself. So I focused on, what is going around in the world right now, which really interests me. And that was all about AI and digital transformation. So over the last 6 years, I've kind of pivoted myself to learning and doing more and more of that. And today I'm in consulting doing digital transformation for an advisory firm.
That is great. That's amazing, Kanika ji. Now I'll get back to Swapna Mishra ji, and I would like to ask you, as a COO of Textile Sector Skill Council, In textile industry, one of the major problems that we are facing today is the pollution that is being created by the textile industry. How is your role helping you address this issue? And probably you can give a background of the kind of work and the probable roles that you are taking care of under the position that you have right now.
Yeah, thank you. So, as I told you that, I was already teaching when I joined here, and I learned about courses and other things. Also, all these things we developed, listening to other people and, problem solving and, not thinking that the best, all those things. So I am currently heading the Textile Sector Skill Council, which looks after the skill development in the textile mill and handloom sector. So the purpose is to create an ecosystem for having the right workforce, crucial for the industry, for the sector. And therefore, we formulated some courses taking into the input of the industry, stakeholders, interactions, validations, making them national standards. And, so not just pollution, but also sustainability, recycling, all those things, are important. So we are creating courses in consultation with all the stakeholders. We are a bridge between industry, academics, and subject matter experts. The courses are created in line with the new national education policy and also the national credit framework. So we are in the process of, the revamping the courses, and the trainings are also going on right from the operator level to the shift supervisor, manager, senior manager level, including conventional as well as technical textiles. Whereas in the handlooms, we are following the strategy of creating courses which would recognize the prior learning of the weavers and then give them a bridge course in marketing, finance, quality, health, safety, and other things, and help them sell what they want and get into better designing. Currently, we are deploying the DigiBunai software, which is designed by Mighty Digital India Corporation, about weaving CAD to handloom weavers. So we've also had a course for Class 10 certification of handloom weavers. We've also had courses for handloom entrepreneurs, besides for the industry. So all the requirement of the industry, like you pointed out, pollution is one aspect. There are other aspects. So for all the aspects, we take the stakeholders' interactions, we take their input, then we design courses, and then we deploy them, the whole strategy making as to who will teach, where the training will be done. And there are also students who are getting trained and also placed abroad. We have done the mapping of the international standards with the UK standards, which are followed in various countries. So basically developing the whole ecosystem for creating a robust skill workforce, so that Indian textiles is at par with the international ones in conventional as well as technical textile, including, solving the issue of pollution is what we are doing. And I'm extremely thankful to IIT, like Kanika ji also said that at that time we didn't realize how IIT was shaping us up. But right now I do realize all that training which has come, be it the meticulous planning, be it, getting inputs from everyone, compiling, writing, understanding other people, understanding the need, bridging, problem solving. And I think we've come pretty long way with around 71 courses and more than 3.5 candidates being benefited. We are a crucial part in the implementation of the national education policy and the national credit framework, right from the school to the higher education level, including the technical textiles.
That's great. That's amazing. And in today's time, there are many freelancers and influencers who, are selling textiles, but they are actually bringing those textiles directly from the weavers. So probably that could be one aspect that where your institution could connect with those freelancers, and because they are also in direct connect with the weavers and trying to get the original, maybe in some aspects, the forgotten weaves back to commercial markets, and that is a domain that where you could also contribute in a significant way. What do you think?
Yes. So we are already doing that. We have created a course called Handloom Entrepreneur also, which is, from which has support from Ministry of Textiles, and also provides, it's almost, the candidate has to pay around 200 rupees, and we're actually also taking candidates from the weavers family and training them to be handloom entrepreneurs and selling it abroad. We are connecting all the weavers whose competency has been recognized and who are at that level. We are connecting them to the already existing entrepreneurs or freelancers which are there. We're also conducting the B2B, online, offline, helping the weaver using various schemes already available to come to Aga Khan, Delhi, Hart, Janpath, and see other states work and sell their work. So all that work also we are doing. So we are sort of a bridge between various stakeholders, and anybody who is interested can definitely connect to me. I will put my contact details in the chat box. The more people join, the better it would be, the larger at this scale it would be. As I told you, right now we are at a 3.5 lakh beneficiary numbers, but given the status of our country, there are more than 38 lakh handloom weavers and many freelancers who entrepreneurs who could take their work abroad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Now I would like to talk to Garima ji and ask her, because as I was telling you before that, yes, a lot of mental health issues are happening nowadays. And so how is your journey when it comes to the work that you are doing? And during the start of our conversation, you also said that you shifted from city to a small town called Talegaon, if I'm correct. So why did that shift happen? Why did you choose to go there? And the kind of work that you are doing, how you are doing, how you are proceeding with it, and maybe some suggestions, some inputs as to how the current, what suggestions and tenets you have to mention to the current youth regarding a good and happy mental health.
Oh, wow, that's a lot, huh? Why did I move to Talegaon? What are we doing? Suggestions?
Yes.
I feel for me, the essence of it all comes down to what our name Swasth is, the organization that I run. And initially, I understood that Swasth means healthy. That's the literal name that we really think of. But as I went deeper in this journey, I realized that health is actually not what the actual meaning of that word Swasth is. So Swasth is a Sanskrit word which is composed of two parts, Swa plus Tha. The Swa is myself, and the stha is the same stha as in sthan in Hindi or stable in English. And what it really comes down to is to be established and stable in my own self. And for me, I think the very essence of what I'm trying to do, whether it's at a personal life or at a professional level, is to say that, can I really be rooted in what I do? So if I was to take an example of a tree is giving out all these fruits. My earlier effort was to become successful and to contribute to the world, was to have as many fruits, produce as many fruits as I could. But what I did not realize is if I don't have roots that are going deep down and I'm not nourishing and nurturing that, then nothing really makes sense. The fruits are actually going to die down in some time, which is what happened. I went through, burnout, depletion, ill health, all of that. So I think that would be my singular message to people. And for me, that move out of big city life of Delhi and Bombay to a small town is also a move in that direction. I understood over time that through whatever I'm doing, whether it's learning how to eat healthy, whether it's learning how to keep our mental health, finally it comes down to living life in a natural way, like the way we were supposed to lead life. what are we all doing today? We're going back from processed foods to, ghar ka khana. We're recognizing that there is value in that. And so the move out of city life is also to say that today, with thanks to all the technology that we have, I can be located in any part of the world and I can do that work. So why not live a life that is much more local, much more closer to nature? And Swapna ji was talking about just conservation of the environment. I feel like if we really understand how much we have to learn from nature, we will, at a fundamental level, respect it in a very, very different way. Nature isn't just giving us oxygen. It is like literally the source of life, and there's just so much to learn by being close to water. We learn how to flow with life and not get stuck up. With air we learn lightness. So that's my attempt to learn from nature, to live like that. And at the institute also, what we're trying to do is not just have people get into the theory of things, because today knowledge is out there. You open YouTube and ideally we should all be enlightened because we've all watched dozens of videos. But the challenge is, what we're not recognizing is knowledge is not just mental knowledge. It has to be a lived knowledge. That's when it becomes real. So we're also trying to make this an experience in people's lives through workshops, through one-on-one work, through, deep transformational journeys that people can undertake. Not a one-day lecture, you come back and tomorrow it fizzles out. So we create these journeys where people are designing their journey. And we believe choice is a very, very important part of things. So we work with 3 principles, the 3 S's. One is S for Sampurna, which is holistic. Look at the body, energy, mind, emotions, spirit, soul, if you believe in that, intuition, certainly. The second is Swaraj, which is to be self-led, because if we're connecting with ourselves, then truly being empowered to make choices, not being driven by what others are telling us, but really looking within, is a key part of our work. That's why people design their journeys. And the third one is Sahaparivar, which is with our community, with our family. We do believe that today the model of inner transformation is not what it was thousands of years ago, when you go off to the Himalayas. Maybe some percentage of people still do that, but we need to know how to do this in the current context of our life, with our family, taking everyone along and knowing that there is a community of like-minded people. We're not the only ones thinking that life in the world could be different. So those are the 3 tenets behind everything we do.
That's wonderful. So much required, so much needed. And I'm sure that you connect to more people and expand your work as soon as possible. I wish you all the best in this. Now, coming to Kanika. Kanika, since you're in the domain of AI, I would like to ask you that AI, as it's the thing that's going on nowadays, could you please highlight something? Of course, first of all, please be a little more descriptive about the work that you do in terms of digital transformation, and also how AI could help in addressing real world problems in the grassroots.
Okay. That's a tough one. But so question number 1, like, what do I do? And actually, before I start to answer that, I was going to say that everything that Garima said, I couldn't agree more with it. When I was thinking about, the opportunities and challenges, that was one of the things that really stuck out to me. Was when I graduated IIT, I think I got prepared very well for the career and corporate challenges. But what I was missing was that, how do I get rooted in myself? So, it was sometimes, the positive feedback is a bit like a little bit like a drug, right? So we tend to follow the path of least resistance. So I kept following that path of least resistance. Okay, it looks like I'm good here. I'll just keep progressing here. I'll get to the next level. Okay, it looks like I've done very well here. I'll go do an MBA. I'll get another good job, right? But in that, in all of that, I kind of lost sense of who I was and how do I ground myself and how do I take care of myself. I just kept running after it. It was like, okay, 50 hours a week is not enough. What if I do 60? What if I do 80? What if I do every single weekend? I cannot take no for an answer. You just get stuck in that loop. The first time that I was burnt out, I didn't even realize that was burnout. And it wasn't until the second time, which was much worse, is when I had to take a step back and say, okay, what is it that I'm missing here? Because I'm clearly missing something here if I've been burnt out twice in my 10-year long career, right? So everything that Garima has said, couldn't agree more with it. In terms of what I actually do, so if I explain very simply, I know AI has sort of become a catch-all term these days. There are lots of different things happening in AI, right? In the technologies that I get to work with, because we are implementing these in real life with some of the institutions that we might be interacting with on an everyday basis, right? So the bank that you talk to using a chat bot, or when you call any of your utilities providers and they ask you, okay, what is your problem today? Say the word and I'll try and figure out where do I route you to, right? So just by the nature of the work that I do, I get to work with a lot more mature technologies, but there is so much happening across the domain in AI, all the way from the traditional stuff to, now thinking about sustainability, thinking about wellness and health and well-being. Every AI is everywhere. I work with technologies to actually simplify experience for users like us, right? So when I'm interacting with a bank, can a chatbot be useful here? How does that chatbot then collaborate with 100 other systems that a bank has to get Kamalika the information that she's looking for, right? So today you're looking to change your address because you've just moved. It will be great, instead of having to make 5 calls and wait 10 days, if you can just do that in real time, right? So you go and tell a chatbot, I need to change my address. Here is my new address. Here is my previous address. The chatbot will find you in the customer database. It'll go into the relevant databases, update your address, and come back to you and tell you, Kamalika, your address is updated. This is your new address. Are you happy with it? Do you need anything today, right? So that's just an example of the type of stuff that I do in digital transformation. Right now, I'm working for a large-scale insurer, which is where, probably all of us have life insurance or pension policies. It's not the industry which has really good credibility in terms of customer service. So that's what we are trying to address, is how do you just make it easier for the clients to deal with you. A lot of the times they're coming to you in quite distressed situations, especially if it's bereavement or start trying to access their pension pot, which is literally, their whole life's work. So how do you give them a better experience, a seamless exposure, while making sure that all their data and all their money is safe? In terms of trying to see how is AI going to address challenges in the world, I don't think anybody has an answer to that, right? AI can do so much. We don't even realize the whole capacity of everything that AI systems can do. I think it's like anything else. It's not a silver bullet, right? Nothing is a silver bullet. It's about what we as humans and people decide to do with it, right? So we have to figure out, okay, where do we put the guardrails in place so that it allows us to experiment safely without trying to temper the innovation, but how do we use it to help the humanity and help the clients and help the people? And like any other system, I think there is going to be some backlash coming from it, because at the end of the day, it's just a system, right? Whatever you put in it on one side is what comes out the other side. So depending on the inputs that you put in, how do you make sure that you restrict the negative usage as much as possible? And that's something like that. I think the governments, the individuals, the technologists are all going to come in. We need to come together and work together to figure out those guardrails and those controls. And I think it's only something that we're going to learn as we go along with it, because this is not something that we're going to have an answer today.
Right. Thank you so much, Kanika. I would like to ask you, since you in the starting you said that regarding the mental health culture of corporates, that people usually get burned out in corporates. Probably one of the reasons why Garima also shifted out of corporate culture. So in your organization or around you, since you are based in UK, how do you see in the corporate culture the mental health things are being addressed, or any kind of initiatives that are being taken specifically for corporate culture, I'm asking?
Yeah, no, definitely. I've seen a huge shift in the last 10 years. So in my first job in Schlumberger, it's a French company, it's listed in New York, it's very international. I did not see any communication or anything coming out which talked about anything mental health. It was very, very normal for us to work 48 to 72 hours without sleeping. And every day in the morning that I went to work, I didn't know if I was coming back home. I worked 4 years without weekends. I didn't have weekends for 4 years. So, the first time when I went to business school and I had weekends, I actually got anxiety because I didn't know what to do with 3 days of doing nothing. It was like, oh my God. It was bizarre. Like, I was like, why am I feeling like this about a weekend? A weekend is a very normal thing for people, right? My job, I worked 4 years without any weekends. I would work like 4 or 5 months, and I would start noticing that I would get very snappy. I would get angry easily. And I was like, okay, I think I need a break. And that's when after 4 or 5 months, I'll be like, okay, let me take a couple of weeks of holiday and then just go back home and then reset and then come back. And I did that for 4 years without realizing everything that it was doing to me. But from that to, working with Deloitte and other consulting firms, every week there is an email blast coming out about, okay, battling burnout, understanding nutrition, understanding mental well-being, where to seek help, mental health champions. So I've certainly seen a lot more awareness and push. And a lot of the organizations are starting to put some structures in place to try and encourage people to talk about it or seek help and support. But I think the one thing is lacking is, if you have a culture which glorifies working 80 hours a week, you are not fixing the problem. It's not proactive, right? What you're addressing is let people work 80 hours a week, let them work every weekend, and then we'll fix it if they can't handle it. We know people cannot handle it. We're not built to work 80 hours a week. Work is one part of life. But at least I can't say if that's for everybody, but for people like me, I felt like I was being given an opportunity to work 80 hours a week. I should be grateful. My parents didn't have this opportunity. So it's that thinking that really needs to change amongst the corporates. And I think in our education system, we are missing this very important aspect of what Garima said. How do I make sure that, I physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, I am stable enough, and then I can handle anything, right? Because life is not a straight line, whether it's career, whether it's family, whether it's health, whatever it is, right? It's not a straight line. So I see a lot of push trying to get on that bandwagon that, oh, we support mental health. But what I do see really lacking is trying to address the grassroots factors of why are actually people struggling in the first place. What is it that is wrong? What is wrong is you're not supposed to work 80 hours a week, right? You're not supposed to sit on your laptop for 15 hours a day, and because that doesn't give you time to focus on your physical health. You should, make time to get bored, make time to be in nature, right? So stuff like that is what I don't see a lot of organizations. I guess it's a journey. So we're heading in the right direction, but there is a lot of work required to fix the corporate culture.
That's amazing. Kanika ji, you have expressed this really nicely and the real problems. I really appreciate that. Now I would like to request all the audience, if anybody has any questions to ask, please feel free to ask the questions. Please unmute yourself. Please feel free to ask questions. Anybody from the audience? Our three panelists, Dr. Swapna, Garima, and Kanika.
So Dr. Kamlika, if no one is asking question, I have one small question.
Please do, sir.
Shall I?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, Kalpit, sir.
Yeah. Apparently, we all have been living in a, I would say, resource scarce economy. And it is not that simple to say that people should probably contain their desires and aspirations. Unfortunately, whichever way look at it, I mean, I joined IIT 45 years back. I think all that we had in mind was that we need to have a better life. And we thought that having joined IIT, we had arrived. Now, fortunately, changes are taking place. People are evolving. I think now we have many more options. And therefore, as Kanika rightly said, probably we are in the right direction. We are not there. And a lot is required to be done. Having worked with some of the very better known names, multinational like Johnson & Johnson, Unilever, I understand the kind of care and nurturing that they used to do of all the management trainees from day one, where a mentor would be available to take care of issues and address them. One, I'm very happy that things are happening at various corporates. But my small question come curiosity is, how do we inculcate this culture of contentment amongst the parents, the family, people who put the pressure on the poor student or the aspirant who has to live up to the expectations of the society? Actually, more number of times people are guided by what others tell him or her to do rather than what one wants to do. Today, I would honestly envy what life Garima lives, because she lives at her terms and lives the life that she has understood, and she actually is convinced that that's the right way forward. How do we spread this culture in the society? And since we have access to some of these campuses like IITs, IIMs, I would prefer that if we could work out some mechanism by which we can help the young students right from day one rather than when they are passing out. Can we do something meaningful on our campuses? I mean, there's just a suggestion come query. What can we do for all of you? Garima, you
I
want to
so
go
agree
first?
with what you said, Kalpejji. And Kanika was also hinting at that the role of this being incorporated into the education system is paramount. Because right from like literally nursery, what we're learning is to how to deal with the outer world. How do you add, subtract, go to a shop, get the money, speak the language? But how do you deal with the inner world is not covered at all. And it literally needs to be a way of life and not something that one needs to learn when we come to that burnout stage that Kanika was saying is happening. So I think absolutely right. That being said, I also understand that sometimes we need to, unfortunately, as humans, since we learn only by practical experience, sometimes we need to hit the rock bottom to understand that this is not the way out. And I wish that my journey had like naturally led me to these answers, but it was when I was at those, a spiritual low, a physical low, a mental low, that actually some of these answers and this clarity emerged. So that is a reactive way to do it, but a proactive way would be, I think, completely to build that into the education system for sure.
Yeah, and I would add to what Garima said. I don't think if we were to tell people or the parents that this is the right way of life, that all of us IITians have learned, nobody would listen. I would bet on that. Because again, unless we experience it and learn it, it doesn't stick, right? So my parents could have told me, yeah, meditate every half an hour, go into the nature, do this, do that. Was I listening? No. It's when I struggled and I was like, okay, what does help me? Started meditating 5 minutes a day. Okay, this feels better. Went up to 20 minutes. Now I can do up to an hour, and I could see the difference. But unless that crisis was there and I saw the shift, I don't think I would have registered how important it is, right? So I think what we need to do is build these tools into our education system. So we give these tools to the kids as early as possible. So as and when, they turn into this situation and get into crisis, they have something to fall back on. Now I'm a member of my local gardening club. I don't think I would have ever thought of gardening was something that I could do when I was back in India. We do it all year long now, and I mean it's absolutely amazing. And they say that there are nature's drugs in soil that help you deal with depression and anxiety and all of that, right? So we need to create that space in big cities where people can come together and be close to nature. But I think the other really important point, Kalpenj, you mentioned was building this culture of contentment. I think the only way that will happen is there needs to be a mass shift of consciousness, right? And I think our generation is probably at the right point to make that happen, because everything that you described, I have actually lived that life, right? My parents were all like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. They were like, beta doctor ban jao, your life will be set. Just go and give MBBS ka exam. Acha, nahi, doctor nahi banna, don't know why, but I just hate it. I don't want to be a doctor. Acha, beta engineer hi ban jao. Like, just do something, those two can't be the only paths in life in India, but that's the truth, because like you said, we are a very resource constricted society, and we have a huge pool where we need to create opportunities for a lot of people, right? But we also, in parallel, we somehow also need to learn what is really important, right? When I was working at Schlumberger, I was minting money because I didn't have to pay for anything. My company paid for everything. I couldn't drink water when I wanted to, right? Because I knew that I was going to be in a car going to the desert for like 6 hours. I would wake up at 4 a.m., go and check out radioactive source and explosives. And then I was going to be in the car in the desert for like 6 hours. I didn't know when I was getting there. I didn't know when I got there how bad the company man was going to be, and if he was going to entertain a girl engineer on his rig, right? So those challenges actually made me realize what are the small things in life that I really value, so that I could then shape my life accordingly, right? So some of it is only going to come by experiencing, but I think a lot of it is making the right shifts and the right changes that our generation is already starting to see now.
Swapna ji would like to add something to it.
Yeah, agreeing with Garima ji and Kanika ji, I would agree that, we may have these modules incorporated in our existing courses where they get to experience how it is understanding yourself and knowing yourself. My experience at IIT has been very different from both of them, in the sense, this is where I really got to understand myself, what I want, and what I like and what I don't like, basis the choices I was given and I made at IIT, which has made the journey more or less much smoother. Not to say that I haven't gone through those phases of going through a wear out, because I was trying to do a lot in a limited time, both on the personal as well as professional front. So I would, since I'm in the skill ecosystem and the whole new education policy and national credit framework is being sort of implemented in India, I would invite both of them to collaborate and suggest courses where we could have, maybe using AI, use something where the kids could, have a hands-on experience and know what they like and what they don't like. And, maybe experiencing some meditation courses and, seeing their performance before and after. Because one thing which I learned in IIT is that if you have a good sleep before your exam, you perform much better. Technically, थोड़ा preparation कम भी रह जाए तो चलेगा, लेकिन अगर नींद कम रह गया और बहुत पढ़ लिया तो it doesn't help. So all those small things I experienced here, and I think if we incorporate it in the curriculum for the students to experience, we could use AI to make it faster, and we could use Garima ji's expertise also, and have these people come and speak to the students. And I would also invite them to have such courses which could be useful for the handloom and textile mill sector also. because our performance and quality and everything depends a lot on what we are. We spend a lot of time understanding the machines we work on, but not on this one, which doesn't come with a user manual. So I think, yeah, there is a need to reframe the courses.
That's wonderful. One thing that I would like to add at the end towards these mental health conversations is that recently I was traveling by train, and with me was a family, a mother and a very young child, very bubbly, very vibrant, very happy child, maybe 6, 7 years old, and she was playing with her doll. And while she was playing with her doll, her conversation, suddenly I heard the word depression. Like, the doll, she was playing with the doll, and the doll is having depression, and some kind of a story goes on for her. And for me, I mean, though we are talking about the kind of changes, what we can contribute in this direction, I was quite actually appalled to hear a 7-year-old girl talking about depression, which I personally did not appreciate or like. And that is something that we need to kind of think of where the conversation is heading to, and people who are working in this direction, to think of like what exactly is the impact that's falling at the end, and the grassroots and the people who are so young. So that's what I would like to add. Now I'll ask quick questions, so you need to give me just maybe probably a one-line answer, 2 quick questions. But before that, any other questions from the audience? Okay, cool. So I'll quickly ask. So Garima, tell me the kind of issues, mental health issues you see. Do you see with whoever you
बता
have
दूंगी अभी,
interacted?
कल उनसे बात होगी, बहुत ज्यादा नहीं आएंगे, बट जितने अभी दिख रहे हैं और जो
Please mute
आएंगे
yourself.
उनसे
Please
ज्यादा
mute
ही, क्योंकि
yourself.
कल संडे को छुट्टी होती है सबकी।
Please mute yourself.
तो ये रोल वगैरह के साथ और क्या क्या ऑप्शन है आपके
Please
पास?
mute yourself, Dr. Sai.
I think Sakshi is on.
ठीक है,
Sakshi, please,
I
please
think
be on
हाँ,
mute.
बल्कि आज डिनर भी अरेंज करना है।
Oh God.
Dr. Sakshi, please mute
हाँ,
yourself.
उनके लिए करना है वो एक बंदा, क्योंकि वो 9-10 बजे तक जो
Sakshi,
रुके
can you mute her?
इसकी
I'll call her. I'll call her.
रजिस्ट्रार से।
Please do. Okay. So
है ना?
Garima,
नहीं, क्या है, मैं पूछ लेती हूँ फोन करके।
yeah. So Garima, quickly you tell me all to whoever you cater to, what is your audience range, like school, university, corporates, and the percentage of male and females in terms of mental health crisis.
So we work largely with the 25 to 65, like that age group. It's fairly wide. And it's a combination. I would say 60% females and 40% males. And I see, because it's a wide enough demographic, issues of all kinds when it comes to mental health, like there's instability in relationships or at work, not feeling fulfilled, or, dealing with office politics, having issues with children, just parents and children having, issues with each other, in-laws, parents. I mean, you name it. There's a whole wide spectrum, but finally it comes down to the same inner turmoil that is going on, though externally it may manifest itself
And you are
differently.
addressing both urban and rural societies?
Yeah, so we have a chain of primary health centers in the slums that actually provide healthcare services to those who cannot afford it. And we're also integrating all the learnings from here, the institute, into doing that work as well. And all our work is offered in English, in Hindi, and in Marathi as well, because we're based in Maharashtra. And we do a lot of work on a donate as you wish basis. Most of our work is on that. So we don't want money to be a barrier for anyone. So we have people from all across the country and outside as well.
Just curious, so since you mentioned slums, so like, of course, their problems would emanate from the kind of conditions and monetary and financial issues. But apart from that, so-called mental health, what kind of challenges do they face, the slums? People who live in
They're living in such cramped quarters. So we talk of getting our space. Imagine being in that little space where you have to deal with your children, your parents, and your spouse, and all of that. So their issues are only compounded. They don't have the liberty to take time off to go on vacations. So all of what we face here only gets compounded. That
Right.
being said, I've also seen they have a lot more tools for resiliency, I feel, than
Right.
sometimes we educated segment do. And one of the biggest tools is faith. Just
Yeah.
faith in whoever they believe in, that is what takes them through a lot of issues in life. So there's a lot to learn from them as well.
Very true, very true. Swapna ji, quick question. The weavers that you work with, percentage of males and females there, women and men weavers?
Majorly they are females. But yes, of course, male weavers are also there. I would say more like a 70-30 kind of a. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Kanika, quick question. This is one thing that I was thinking that now that women reservation happens in for promotions, and since you might be somewhere in the mid to senior leadership, from your experience or what you see around in the corporate culture, and since you're working in the AI where merit is very important, talent is very important. In that case, have you seen situations where women, just to be in that reservation criteria, but not yet having enough merit or not having enough talent, are still getting promoted? Have you seen those cases as well?
I've not worked in India, so there is no reservation here in the UK or the US. So to be quite honest, I don't think I can answer that. But just on the merit basis, what I've seen here in US and UK, I think the problem more is actually making work for women. There are a lot of talented women. The more that I have gone technical from just pure consultancy services, I've seen the numbers drop significantly, where I used to see 50 to 60% females in management consulting, which was a huge shift from what my experience was at IIT or at Schlumberger. It has gone down to maybe 20%. In AI and digital transformation. And I think that's more of a grassroots problem, multiple grassroots problems. Number one is girls choosing STEM courses and choosing STEM careers. But then also in consulting and AI, the lifestyle, right? So at the mid-senior level, we see a lot of attrition just because the life doesn't work for females, right? Because yes, we are making quite a lot of progress in the right direction, but parenting, caring, all of that is still more female-led than more of a joint endeavor between the partners. So yeah, there's still a lot of attrition at that level. So I think there is, number one, there is a societal change required where, all of the parenting and caring responsibilities, it's not a 2-year project, right? It's a 20-year project and sometimes a lifetime project. So all of that needs to become a bit more equal, which is exacerbated in the Western societies because you don't have help here, right? You can have lots of servants in India, but you don't have that same level of support in US or UK. And then also making the lifestyle and making the work for them, right? A lot of the people we see leave when they get married or when they get their first child because they don't think that they can sustain having a family and having this career. So that's the other big change that needs to happen across the organizations.
Right. That's great. One last question to all the three of you. Just answer in one line. The vision for the world in context of the work that you do. Starting with, just take a minute to think about it. Vision for the world in context of the work that you do. And I'll start with Swapna, Dr. Swapna Mishra.
So I would envision a world which is more equal in the sense it gives chance irrespective of gender, caste and creed, and irrespective of, the industry has an equal chance to get competent people, and competent people have equal chance to get the kind of work they want to do across the globe. As you know, India is envisioned to be the skill capital of the world. So in terms of soft skills, hard skills, engineering skills, whatever, India, everybody having an equal chance to grow together, including textiles. Textiles was once, known all over the world. That is one reason why people came searching for India, textiles and spices. I would envision the education system and the quality and the competency to be so good that, we regain that position.
That's great. Garima, a short answer.
I think for me, it's peace, love, and joy. These three words, within and without, in every sphere.
That's great. Kanika.
I'm gonna steal one of Karma's words. I'm just gonna say create joy because it doesn't matter
No
what you do.
AI. No reply.
It doesn't matter whether you do AI, whether you do textiles. If it's not creating joy, it's meaningless. I've had 4 different careers in last 15 years, and that's my takeaway: creating joy.
Wonderful, wonderful to have the three of you. Such myriad experiences, wonderful women, wonderful experiences that you have shared today. And I'm so happy to have you today in this episode of She Inspires. I hope the audience has enjoyed. And I thank you all. Signing off, myself, Dr. Kamalika Banerjee. Namaste. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It has been an honor to be here.
Thank you for having us.